Hello, everyone. And it is now Thursday, the 19th of November, week before Thanksgiving. And we will not have a show next Thursday because hopefully some of us will be having turkey. I'm not going to get into the whole pandemic story. And we'll get into it right away. Number 88, briefing, water is the new gold. And I'll mention quickly forward-looking statements that we have, which are that these are things we believe will happen. Of course, we are working very hard to make them accurate. And the first piece of news is literally just happened today. So I'm going to have a quick clip from this show, Candid Conversations with Adrian Barker. Pat Schufnauer, who is actually, I believe, listening to this show, was the guest host. So let's take a quick look at that.
We learned over time it was very, very hard to get the water industry to adopt new technology, right? So, I mean, there's wonderful technology. Hey, this is great. And it's filter free and it's chemical free. And the water industry basically yawned. And so then what we did in 2015 is we acquired a water company. And that was fantastic. They, as you say, they serve the municipals, the large utilities, businesses, everybody. They're in Texas, incredibly versatile. But the problem was that the speed of, everybody's like building on concrete, it takes forever. Then we acquired in 2018 a technology for these modular systems in a box. And then in 2020, along came COVID, and we went, wait a minute, we have a problem with this, huge amount of time it takes to get these deals done in the first place. And then we started this year focusing on funding. How do we get systems funded rapidly to get people going? So technology, capability in Texas, modular systems, and finally the funding is being put in place. We're building a finance company, just like GM Finance, or Toyota Financial, and that's going to finance this so that we can go to you and you've got a brewery. You want to put in a system for a brewery, fine, no problem. We're going to go ahead and install that for you and just pay on the meter. That's all you got to do. Let me tell you something, that speeds up deals tremendously.
So that's all I'm going to have time for today. And it was a wonderful conversation. We'll try and feature more of it. Here's another clip from my brother, Steven, the man with too many cameras, as I call him. This is a really cool clip. Manuel Suarez is the Facebook ninja. And here's the story.
How you been?
Man, is it nonstop or what?
Oh wow, what a world, man. What a world.
But I remember I was in LA during the Christmas holiday and I went, I've got to get people into this CEO briefing, which is proven to really, galvanize people and get them excited. And I just called you out of the blue. It was like the December 28th or something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, what can we do? And you said, no problem. We can do this thing. And from that point on, things went completely insanely crazy, nuts. And a huge amount of people came in as a result of all the activities you had. It was just the best. We have 65 people in the room and the number is growing. So it's been our biggest yet. And Manuel, I have to thank you because you did it. It's you. Thank you, sir.
Well, we got an important message. We got an important message to share to the world. That's for sure.
At the turn of the year, I said, we've got to find a way to, in a sense, enter the world stage. And I called the only person I knew who really was a master at that, Manuel. I called him up and what did we do? We decided to make these briefings the focus of our communication line to the world. And then, of course, the virus happened and digital has become the new thing, right?
It's the other gold, right? We got water and then we got digital marketing and we're uniting these two. And if you don't mind me saying, Riggs, I have bought into your business.
Wow, what an incredible ride 2020. It's been something else because I remember you were about to jump on a plane and come over here. And around that time, things started unfolding aggressively and everything started getting canceled. And well, looking back at it, that's already like 8 months ago. Whoa, what happened with those 8 months? They're gone, right? So it's been crazy, but I went all in, man. I really believed in the mission, and I think it's something that is unique. You found the niche market that it's quite massive, but at the same time, nobody's doing a good job on it. So that for me smelled opportunity, and I really wanted to get your message out there. I didn't really understand what the market was for that. You don't really get it until you start really opening up your eyes to how we have this massive world. 3/4 of it is filled with this thing that we call water, but nobody knows how to protect that water or keep it clean or recycle it or reuse it or make it something that we can continue putting in our bodies. So that by itself was an aha moment. Once I understood that and looking at the different ideas that Origin Clear has for fixing the problems that are widespread around the world, it became quite real to me. It really did, helping you guys out spread that message. You know, obviously, as I was working with the project, obviously I'm a successful businessman myself. I generate income. We look for opportunities, and as I got involved with the project, I put skin in the game. I think I told you one time, and I said, Riggs, I'm gonna put some skin in the game here, so you know that I'm serious here.
So good. And in fact, since then, you know, you and so a few other loyal stockholders helped us with developing all these programs. But now we're jumping into, you know, 7-figure funding of these finance companies that are going to help build all these water systems for these new entrepreneurs. It's a whole new game, but you got us there. It was fantastic.
Great. It's a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure to help you guys with that.
All right, bro. Peace.
All right. Peace.
Bye-bye. So Manuel is just an amazing guy, and he has a great agency called AGM Agency. This is his own site, and his mission as the Facebook ninja is to help people become successful in the greatest marketing era in humanity's history, and he certainly has helped us tremendously with that. So we're very, very thankful. So let's move to the next phase quickly because we like to keep it rapido. So Ivan Anz appeared on the Street Smart podcast, which interviews founders with companies that generate up to $250 million in annual revenues. And so let's listen to our friend Ivan, of course, who is the founder of Philanthroinvestors, our close partner for international.
That is very beautifully put. Before you and I started recording, we had agreed on also talking about your other current company, which is in the water space. But I'll leave it up to you. We don't have a tremendous amount of time because this got so animated and interesting about the real estate piece of it. But do you want to maybe quickly talk about the water business?
Oh, yes. This is also amazing because in 2019, after 5 years of developing real estate philanthropy investing, God sent me another revelation. And, you know, I was taking a shower and I had this shower moment. And he talks to me again. And I listen, you know, I am a very believer that there is a bigger force than us that is a supreme being and is guiding our paths, and we need to listen to him. And so he tells me, Ivan, philanthropy investors and philanthropy investing is not just to help families live in their own happy home. It was not born just for that. It was also born to fix a big problem that is in the world also, which is 6,000 kids die every day. 6,000 kids die every day from water-related diseases. 6,000. 80% of the planetary water is released untreated. The structures in the countries that they have structures are crumbling. There is millions of violations to the water's laws in the US, to the levels of what it needs to actually happen to give clean water because the government there is no resources, cannot fulfill it. There is more deaths because of water than because of war. So I said, okay, I hear you, Water Philanthroinvesting. I found the company and they fall in love with our vision and mission of changing the path of the world to a more positive direction. And they actually acquire the rights to the Philanthropy Investor brands and know-how. I got myself and the CEO of Philanthropy Investors, Mr. Artem Aaron, in the board of advisors for this company. They have been 10 years a public company, Origin Clear, and they have the vision of taking the planetary water, which is drinkable. We're not talking about the oceans, but we're talking about every place that water is outside oceans. So we're talking about lakes, we're talking about pipes, we're talking about pools, we're talking about sewage. So all of that areas will have water, literally. The company has developed the technology with his amazing being CEO, Mr. Rick Zuckerberg, who actually has developed the whole system and vision to not only create careers for 3 million people that will be needed in the water industry in the next decade, only in the US, but also allow philanthropy investors with a minimum investment to be able to help save 1,000 liters of water, 10,000 liters of water per month with just $1,000 one-time investment, or 1 million liters of water per month with just $100,000 investment, and supporting what we call a waterpreneur, who is going out there and creating a career and a business to clean the waters of the planet using the Origin Clear technology. And so Water Philanthropy Investor supports a waterpreneur, and now the waterpreneur cleans the water of the planet with a very unique technology. I mean, it gives a space for a 1 hour. I can even create a podcast with you, with the CEO of that company, but and it's just amazing. That's all that I can say. It's just amazing. You can, for real estate philanthropy investing, you can go equityandhelp.com. For water philanthropy investor, you can go to originclear.com, and you will learn, everything there. And that's something that you guys should know. Also, every Thursday morning at 10 a.m., the director of philanthropy investors for Equity and Health, Mr. Sky Logan, does a weekly webinar on real estate philanthropy investing and different knowledge. He's now going through the 7 mistakes that real investors make. And it's every Thursday, 10 a.m. It's a webinar. You can sign up on equityandhealth.com. And then every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you also can actually watch the Water Philanthropy Investing webinar with different knowledge that Origin Clear does. And you can sign up at the OC for originclear.gold/PI for philanthropy investors. So OC, originclear.gold/PI.
Ivan Anz, thank you. You are doing amazing things, and you have noble purpose. Thank you for your time, and we'll have to do another interview for all those waterpreneurs that are going to emerge through that company.
Yes, my friend. Totally. We are welcome for any time. And thank you very much, Roger, for your time, for your patience, for your professionalism and asking the questions, for the level of communication that you have is amazing. And I wish you the best end of 2020 and a wonderful, happy, healthy, wealthy, and philanthropy investing 2021.
You got it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Well, that is Roger Becker, and he is obviously, it was a very extensive interview, but you caught the very end of it. What I love is Ivan's amazing passion that he shows for this cause. And truthfully, he has transformed our financing efforts, because he had some very high net worth individuals, multimillionaires, who have already done well with Equity and Health. And we're now in discussions with these same investors to create what I call the GM Finance, right? The Toyota Financial, the captive financing arm that we plan to set up to finance water equipment. Now, I'm going to tell you more about that in a second, because there's very exciting things going on with that. So thank you again, Ivan, for this wonderful show. Now let's move on, because something's very interesting is happening. Is we have, of course, a hugely contested election, right? Have you noticed? Well, the fact is that we, a couple weeks ago, we featured what the Trump administration was doing for water infrastructure. Well, okay, let's give equal time to the Biden administration, assuming that it goes forward. And I'm not taking any sides here. The Biden administration, what are the prospects for water spending? And my position is that regardless of the administration, things look really, really good for water infrastructure. let's go ahead with this article in TechCrunch. And Biden's infrastructure plans could boost startups. And it talks about, infrastructure is high on the list of priorities, build back better. American infrastructure, I've been saying this a lot, has been crumbling for decades. We know that the federal share of water spending has been dropping year after year, and that is not being reversed. It's just the issue. And the hope is that these long stalled infrastructure initiatives will take off. And so then he moves, there's a whole bunch of stuff with energy and electrical, this, that, and the other thing. And then the article gets into water. There's various companies that are involved in the startup mode for intelligent water management use, which is very important for us too. We need intelligent water management, and things like stormwater management are very important. Now, let's continue because I'm getting to something very, very important. There are startups that are applying the same principles of decentralized energy generation and applying them to waste management, building treatment technologies that can be installed into buildings. This is decentralized water treatment that I've been talking about for the longest time. Now, there's some leaders who have raised serious money, and one of the ones that I love is called Cambrian Innovation. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Anyway, so the article finishes with a nice picture of a bucket, a leaky bucket. But so what's this all about? Let's go over to the Cambrian Innovation. Now, this is a company that has been very, very well funded. And I'll show you that announcement in a second. Well, what do they offer? They offer something called a WEPA. What is that? It is a water energy purchase agreement. And what they do is they have the capital, just as we are currently working on, to say to a company, don't worry about it, install your system and you'll pay on the meter, as you're metered. And this is very, very attractive. Let's take a look at their announcements and you'll see that they have, they raised $18 million, and that's only the latest of their raises. This was the thing they did with Lagunitas. Now that was the brewery in San Francisco, Petaluma, which is near San Francisco. And they had a problem because they were growing as a brewery, but the water district near Petaluma couldn't take the excess. So they had to constantly truck water to the next county. And so Cambrian came along and they installed it. And you see it's a 10-year consulting and support agreement. So what it is that Lagunitas didn't pay any money up front. They just agreed to have a long-term water energy purchase agreement. And that was a huge breakthrough because it created a long life cycle as opposed to the normal way of selling water systems, which is you sell the machine and you go away. This is a long-term, relationship, which is huge. That's what we're talking about, water as a service. So what's great about this is that it's wonderful to not be the first. Now, the TechCrunch is talking about decentralized infrastructure. And so that has now entered into the language, and that's huge. And water as a service is a very important initiative for us too, in addition to our water as a career, which is unique to us only. But this is why this large fund is going to be key for us. As we call it, our own GM Finance. So I wanted to give you a quick update on that. We are in talks with 2 different investors and a third one in the background to invest multiple 7 figures into a fund that will be owned by Origin Clear, that will, as I showed you last week, it'll basically rent out or lease finance equipment on either a rental basis or on this water as a service where people pay by the ton of the water treated. So that's happening as I speak, and it's extremely exciting. Now, I'm so excited about it because, we have amazing investors and who've helped us get to where we are, but now we really, really feel that this is going to leap us up into the same range as a Cambrian Innovation, which is super exciting. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the economy. What the heck is going on with our economy? And for that, I want to just quickly flip to another slide here. Billionaire Malone buying hard assets and farmland, fears inflationary dollar debasement. And let me just make it bigger here because Zero Hedge uses very small type. And I'm not even going to, they're wacky, instead of the usual bullish excrement spewed, blah, blah, blah. But he basically said that there's a risk of inflation. We've survived this pandemic because of enormous fiscal and monetary stimulus. I've got to believe this will lead to devaluation of currencies, that hard assets will increase in value in currency terms. I'm not sure I'm going to call this inflation, but it'll look and feel like inflation. Okay, so let's take a look over here. I'm going to go past the video. US dollar versus gold. Whoa, that is a very interesting situation, isn't it? So he believes that there'll be a period of currency devaluation. And how is he responding to it? Well, he's diversifying into hard assets, irrigated farms, multifamily housing, etc. So he's now growing potatoes. But the point is that if you can invest in hard assets and make double-digit returns, then you're in great shape. And this is exactly what we are offering. We don't like this. It's not a great trend. You can watch this separately. I'm not going to play it to you, but it's a fascinating story. And I think it reinforces what I've been covering for a long time, which is that you can't just sit on your cash. You've got to do something with it. And I think the best way to do something about it is to choose a very high yield instrument that has a very high upside. And I'll show you in a second because we have our new investment round. All right, now the next thing that's going on is going back to our next slide. And this is who's moving to Florida? Well, we moved to Florida, but then somebody's following us, and let's take a look at who that is. Tech Titan flees San Francisco for Florida, says city is poorly managed. Keith Rabois, former executive at Square and PayPal, has lived in the Bay Area for 2 decades, and he has decided to move to, well, he's going to go to Miami, which is fine. It's an issue, of course, with he doesn't like the way things are run in San Francisco. I'm not going to comment on that, but it's clear that South Florida is one of the top destinations for American moving during the COVID-19 pandemic. So that it's nice to know that somebody else has joined us in this. And let me use the last few minutes to cover our new offering, which is really, really, really interesting. So participating in our future. Now remember that we're doing this big fund setup, but that fund is going to be used for the actual equipment. How do we deploy the resources and the people to run the fund and so forth? That's going to be funded by our existing investors. Here's the new offering. We're calling it Series R, Preferred Series R. So it's for accredited or foreign investors. It pays a 10% cash dividend, which means that you get paid to wait. And Ken Berenger has an amazing presentation about that. Now, when you decide to redeem your investment, so you invest, let's say $100,000, you get 200% back, and it's priced at the time. So you're not worried about, whether the stock price goes up or down. It's priced at the time you redeem it. So you then get your investment back doubled, and everybody gets a 180-day cashless warrant at 5 cents. Now, what does that mean? And as you've noticed, we're below 5 cents right now, but we have reason to believe that that will change, but I'm not going to make any pronouncements at this point. Good things are happening, but I'm not going to get into it tonight. For 180, so you have 180 days to convert this. Cashless means that if the stock is at 10 cents, then half of your investment, you take away half of your investment to get the warrant. So let's say you invested $100,000, you get a $50,000 worth of warrant, and you can start trading it immediately. Find out there's more warrants all the way up to $500,000, and it creates a potential 6 times appreciation, not including the cash dividend. So it's a very, very good package for the company where you're protected from the downside by having the 200% redemption price at the time of the redemption. But you have a lot of upside because we believe that's where things are going. So to find out more, call Ken. He's amazingly knowledgeable about this. He helped me. Of course, he's my co-strategist, and he helped develop this offering. Devin is also extremely helpful, and he is going to, both of them are going to be able to help you out with that. Schedule a call with Ken. Just put oc.gold/Ken in your browser. This offering is a Regulation D as in David offering. And next week, I'm going to cover the Regulation A offering, which is going amazingly well. We have a fantastic agency handling it, and you're going to hear some wonderful updates about that. But this one here is a private placement, meaning that the Securities and Exchange Commission has not passed on its merits. Okay, so, and of course, I hope that you'll join us next week and I will cover the Regulation A offering. So let's see who is with us on the chat line. We've got some good stuff going on here. Thank you all. Excellent attendance tonight. I really appreciate everyone coming in. We're very, very excited. Now, I want to mention that the quarterly filing is due. Last day for it to be due is Monday. Of course, we will make that date. What I can tell you is that we've been doing extremely well booking purchase orders. I will give you full details, and I just can't get into it right now, obviously, because it's not public knowledge yet. But we're also going to cover what's going on with our Spanish partner next time. And when I say next week, it's not next Thursday. It's Thursday after next. Okay, so we're not going to be playing on Thanksgiving Day. It's just not what doesn't seem smart. So it's going to be week after next. Let's see each other for a discussion of the quarterly results, how the outlook for the end of the year, the whole year, looking forward. Now we have an idea where things are going. And we're also going to cover some amazing things that our Spanish partner is doing. The DePupork, the pork manure effluent provider. They've done some amazing things. So thank you, everyone. It's been great having you tonight. Going into Thanksgiving, I hope you have a safe and friendly Thanksgiving, that you can manage to do what you can with family and friends. It's a tough time, but we're here. Talk to Ken, talk to Devin. If you want to talk to me, just call up Devin. He'll be happy to put you in touch. Thank you again. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.